Hello everyone, Shannon Guss here, getting you ready for your episode 1 exit interview from Australian Survivor Australia v World. If you haven't checked out Australian Survivor Australia v World, definitely tune out because there'll be spoilers. And also, you're doing it wrong. Like, it's so good. Listen to the entire internet. Again, Survivor fandom rarely agrees on anything, but I've seen just universal acclaim for one of the best premieres I think we've ever seen. So I was lucky enough to chat to the first boot, which was click away. If you're driving, pull over, click away. All right. First boot, unfortunately, Rob Bentley, who we've had on the podcast a few times. I think the last time was 2021 on the premiere recap of Survivor South Africa, and we've had him on the deep dive. So he has been here with us on RHAP. This is the worst possible way to speak to him in this forum, but always great to chat to Rob. It reminds me how strong Parvati Shallow is because the charm works on me. I'm not going to lie, it works on me, but she's a stronger woman than me. She's a great Survivor player. So it was great to chat to Rob. We have the F1 recap that's already out. Episode 2 recap should be dropping right around this time when this comes out as well with Puya, and we'll have Mike for episode 3. TBD on other exits as well this week, and then a weekly show with Rob. So thank you so much for checking all of that out. WeKnowGlobalSurvivor.com so you don't miss any of that. I'm also sharing that at Shannon Gates across all platforms, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram as well. Thank you for the support of the podcast. It's really warmed my heart to see people, the views rising on YouTube and to see it doing pretty well in the charts today on Apple Podcasts. So thank you all for listening or watching, however you do. Reminder that you can enter the Chizzy raffle if you want finale Chizzy points from either me or the recap bitches. So $10 a ticket, $25 for 3, all in Australian dollars, going to an incredible cause supporting a cat charity that helps cats here in Sydney. I've posted about that on my Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, and all of the information about that is at the end of the episode 1 recap with Chappelle. So check out that recap generally and also donate. And thank you all so much. Hope you enjoyed this exit interview, and I will see you next time. Bye.
So good to see you.
Rob, long time no speak. I'm so happy to talk to you and so sad to talk to you in this way.
I know. But it's good to see you again, nonetheless. It's been too long.
We need to do it on the winner deep dives more often than in this capacity.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it all?
Oh no, I'm happy. It was a great edit. I went out with a bang. Yeah, it was perfect for me. Could have done this, could have done that, but Survivor's a game at the end of the day. You win some, you lose some, but you still love the game regardless, and you'll keep playing it. It's in my blood
Well,
now.
I'm here to ask about the this and the that. I'd love to ask about the other non-US internationals. We didn't see so much about the individual relationships between Lisa and Tommy and Cass. Who were you really vibing with, and what were the individual bonds like there?
Oh yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, they obviously put in as much as they can, but time is limited to cover 2 days of footage. But it unfortunately you didn't see how close Cass and I actually were. Had a genuinely good relationship. Tommy as well. I also vibed really well with him. But Cass and I, we were on a very good page together. I won't lie, it was good. I felt I could really trust her to a certain point. Definitely.
What were
Lisa,
your
no, immediately that nah, this one no.
Yeah, what was it about Lisa? Like what was the disconnect there?
I could just feel her energy. It wasn't 100% there, but at the end of the day, I needed the 4 of them for us to take down the Americans. So I had to bring her in on it. But I knew that if anyone were to crack, it would definitely be Lisa, not Cass, not Tommy so much. It was Lisa. And so the moment they saw Lisa wasn't 100% on board anyway, they could see that, right, we need to shift. We need to pivot here.
Had you thought much further down the track about like medium to long-term goals about sticking with that group or like the Australians, the Americans, like what were your medium-term thoughts at that point?
Yeah, I like to insulate myself pretty well as soon as possible. And for us, it was also a logical decision to say, look, there's 3 Americans here, there's 4 of us, we all alone, we need to band together just to keep control of this tribe. But I think I'm loyal to a fault. When I meet people for the first time and I make a promise to them, and these are my people, I do everything I can in my power to make sure we get to the end, even if I'm not the one who wins. I wanted one of us from the small Survivor franchises to take this one home. So I would have done anything and everything in my power just to get one of the 4 of us to the end. It truly was genuine. It's not gameplay, it's just my nature. I am loyal like that, and I wanted to fight to make sure they get through.
Yeah, proven as well, proven track record with maybe with these, yeah, new international amigos, but it wasn't to be. But I'd love to talk about someone on the other side of that was Parvati. This relationship was a roller coaster in not a long amount of time. Like you were, it was wonderful to see two people kind of known for charming the opposition work each other. That was, as a viewer, it was like the multiverse of charm, really. And I kind of felt like at first it was something she tells you about Deal or No Deal Island, and then it goes so south so quickly. So could you walk me through the trajectory of that relationship?
Yeah, so look, I'll tell you something that unfortunately also didn't see too well in the edit. I could see it though. When we first got on the mat and David was on this other side, he stared me down flat out nonstop. It was incredible. Like, and you know how David can give you looks, eh? And I'm thinking, what on earth did I do to this guy? Like, why is he looking at me like this? Like, what's going on here? You know? So I really wasn't trusting the David thing too much. You know, when he spoke to me as well, went up for our first challenge, I was still very skeptical because I know what David's like. I realized, okay, maybe he's setting up a trap for me. So when Pav came to tell me that no, they just came out of a game together, and David says he wants to work with me, I was very skeptical because I was like, no, this is probably a long-term plan that they're setting up to actually take me down. They're trying to soften me up. They're getting in my head now early. So when we do hit merge, he's got an easy shot at me. So I didn't 100% trust it, but I do realize that I needed to at least work with Parv as much as I can. She's still a number. She's a vote. I did underestimate Parv's abilities. I won't lie. She is a far better player than I ever could have imagined. There's problems that I didn't know them. You know, I didn't have a clue who these guys were. If anyone I knew slightly was Tony, but then I also knew not to trust Tony. You know, his Spy Shack stories and all this stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's just. So I was at a huge disadvantage because I didn't know these players. There was so much backstories. I mean, just the fact that I actually suggested Siri to Parv. These people have been working together for 16 years in this game. It was crazy. It just shows I did not know these players, yet they all knew each other. They knew backstories. So it's kind of been a bit of an advantage for them, disadvantage for me. But I definitely could have read the room better. Definitely.
Yeah, next time hit me up, I'll give you the dossier. Like I'm happy to do that for you. What did you know? Like what did you know coming in of anyone there?
Oh, so the Aussies, I knew exactly who they are
Okay.
perfectly. I've watched seasons. I knew them perfectly. I was so happy to see the godmother, the godmother there, Janine. I'm such a huge fan of her. Luke, Tony. I mean, Luke, George. The solid players. Shawnee, all of them. Kirby. I knew every single one of them. Sarah, obviously. David. So they were. It would have been much nicer to play with them. But the World Tribe, I knew nothing of them whatsoever.
Right. Okay, let's talk about Deal or No Deal Island. This is information we thought would come out. I think Parvati had recently filmed it, and she gives you this information, and you blow that up at Tribal Council. So, what was your thinking getting that information? What was the thought process with it? Was that like planned to do that at Tribal Council? And if so, when? Or was there any thought maybe of taking that to people earlier in the day, earlier at camp, more privately? Like, there's a lot of information, so it was a jaw-dropping moment. But what was your thought process in terms of that information?
You know, with that information, again, I did make a promise that I won't share it, and genuinely was not going to share information. I try to keep my promises as much as I can on Survivor, especially in the early stages of the game. You don't want to burn your social capital. So I was never going to tell us all about that. But when things went south with Pav and I still wasn't going to say anything because I went into Tribal feeling pretty comfortable. However, I could start seeing the writing on the wall. Siri was a bit too comfortable. Pav was a bit too comfortable. I wasn't getting much of a read on the others. So then when I saw that, I realized, okay, let me just take the shot. And so I went for it. It was not definitely was not planned, but I realized that no, something was cooking here. Let me stir it up a bit.
Yeah, that was a huge tribal council. So Ree gets up to talk to the other international. So what was your thought process through all of that?
I should have followed through because at that moment their heads were all spinning. That was the perfect. I could have still pulled it back from there. I really still could have. Knowing myself, I could have still pulled them back from there because their heads were spinning, and I could have just kept playing that card, and I could have possibly turned it around. But I can also admit, you know, I didn't consult them as well as I should have. I was definitely too dominating too soon. It's, I, I underestimated Pav, but I also overestimated my alliance's logical thinking. For me, this was a simple logical decision. There's only four of us. There's three of them. One of them have to go. I'm definitely not an option. We all know Survivor Australia is highly physical. If it was Survivor America, another story, you can vote me out. But this is Survivor Australia. We know how tough these challenges are. So I didn't think that they would want to lose that position of strength. I didn't think they'd want to lose that too soon. So definitely didn't see it coming because I just relied on them making the most logical decision. Even if I don't have to trust you, I can trust that you can understand basic logic and go with what's right. But I was fighting, really was fighting for them. I think they just didn't see it yet. But I was really committed and loyal to that alliance.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly agree with you in terms of like how much they kind of needed you, I thought, in the challenges. So we heard Lisa kind of, undermining in terms of the slingshot or the fire. Like, do you have anything to speak to how that was being like minimized a little bit in terms of your contribution to the tribe?
Or okay, what did she do in the challenges? All those people that are talking, especially her and Lisa, those people who talk the most are actually doing the least for the tribe. They're not even trying to do nothing. I mean, in the challenges, at least the Australians, everyone was pushing. Siri and Lisa were doing nothing in the challenges. So I'm just like, no, this guy's actually taking a lot of weight. So I don't really care about that. They can take those shots, not a problem.
Had you seen a bit of that relationship between something like Suri and Lisa, or maybe like Parv and the girls? Had you seen those kind of cross-world relationships in terms of the dynamics?
I could have never guessed that. You see, that was always the disadvantage for me. But it's like these people all know each other. There's backstories here I'm not aware of. At least with a normal season, everyone is kind of on neutral ground. With seasons like this, if you don't watch this particular franchise, you had a big disadvantage. So I didn't have a clue that Lisa's a huge fan of Siri. I mean, I could not have guessed that in a million years. She really hit that well as well. I won't lie. I was good of her. But yeah, it was a disadvantage for me. My lack of watching Survivor did show there. You can see.
Yeah, usually everyone's on equal ground except Leanne and Nicole also knew each other in the original
That was
tribe.
fine. That one wasn't too
Yeah.
gentle. But these guys, the backstories are a big part of the season because there's relationships that are already so strong, you can't penetrate them anyway. They've been on there for years together.
Yeah.
So
For sure. Well, what about the decision in when you won the first round of the challenge to take the box? Was any like back and forth on that, or was that like I'm definitely going for the box? Like I've played this game before.
oh yeah, like I think we all pointed that one out immediately. It's like just take the box. So I took it. I mean, you could see Pav wanted it. Everyone wanted that box. We wanted to see what's inside. So that was an easy decision. Not even one that I really made.
Were there many conversations that you had with Tony or Suri? We talked about Parvati, and obviously they're on the other side of the aisle, but thinking that, if Parvati is going to go now, they'll still be in the tribe, working with them later down the line. I know Tony's chaotic and Suri obviously is close to Parvati, but was there any kind of through line there with them at all?
Yeah, look, I could have played this one of two ways. I already knew I could easily hold the four of us together. Um, that was not a problem. But I then got greedy and I tried to take the whole bus. I thought, you know what, I don't want to blindside anyone this soon because then if I make Tony or Siri feel alienated, then as soon as we get to the Australians, those are the first two running to the other side. So I really did get greedy and I tried to take the whole bus. It's almost like I came out of Survivor Island of Secrets with a certain mindset because of what I built there
Yeah.
that I did you need to start from scratch again and rebuild this thing. I came in with that same momentum straight off Island of Secrets into that game. And that was a very tall order, even if it was normal people. But these are the world's best players. So I don't know what I was thinking trying to pull that whole bus on my own. I got way too greedy because I wanted that good insulation. I wanted us to work as a team, as the world tribe. Put aside our individual games, but try and just think that, okay, what come hell or high rain, let's make sure an Australian does not win this game. The Australians were united by flag and country pride. They could much easily stay together, but we were strangers. I was trying to bring us together and fight together.
Yeah, I mean, it's like as you said, you're coming out of Island of Secrets. It's actually not as unique an experience as it should be, where someone plays such a dominant game and then comes into a new season. They're obviously A, a huge threat, and B, have played at a speed of such dominance and now don't know how to not dominate. You know what I mean? And even Tony could speak to that, and he had a similar experience in his first two seasons. Like, how do you look back at that? Because you've now like run the gamut of Survivor experiences, and again, like it does happen fairly regularly, but you played one of the best winning games in global Survivor history. You come on and have this experience now. Like, how do you look back at that whole kind of run in your Survivor career?
I think it's perfect. It really now does make me well-rounded because I've won, I've lost, and enjoyed both times as well. But now I know where the right balance point is now. I know exactly, my eyes will be far better open next time around because I've experienced both sides of the spectrum now. I think a similar thing happened to Tony. He won the first game, second game, he got taken out, and he came back and won. It's knowing both sides. My favorite word is balance, So I've seen the extreme of both sides now. So next time I can know exactly how to balance it perfectly in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I got the experience that I needed. I needed to taste that. My problem is I was truly fearless, absolutely fearless. But not to say I'm going to go in, next time, I'm afraid, but now there will be a decent level of alertness now, and to know that it is possible to be taken out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need to follow the Tony trajectory for sure. But I said that preseason, I was saying about the people who had just even been blindsided in their own seasons, or had had losses in their own seasons were almost better prepared because they'd had a more kind of comprehensive experience when your experience was very one note. It was winning, winning, winning. And I think that, that's a hard thing to adjust from, I'm sure. I thought that everyone kind of seemed a little slow to come out of the blocks, especially considering how fast the season is, except you, I will say, and probably a little bit except George, who's being very loud. But like even on the mat, there wasn't a lot of, that kind of usually that back and forth. And I feel like people weren't really giving names. You were giving a name and then they kind of came back at you. Did you kind of feel that energy as well? Because it did make you stand out, but I think it's because everyone else didn't seem to be playing at that speed that you were at so early.
Yeah, like look, I love playing. I don't like to leave anything to chance. I want to make sure I know exactly what's going to happen tonight. Um, it's like, how do I put it? I had the perfect. Actually, I was going. Let me just think 1 second. Just repeat that last bit of your question again, please.
Just about, the speed that I feel like you were playing at compared to everyone else, keeping it a little slow. You threw out names. No one else was throwing out names, and then they reacted. Yeah.
So for me, the reason was like I could have easily, truly speaking, if I had done nothing, the still would have been safe.
Yeah.
I knew that. But this was a line in the sand that I could not let the Americans cross. I could not let one of the four of us go because now you truly lose the battle in the long term anyway. So it's like if you lose this fight now here, there's no point carrying on anyway because now you're going to forever be on your back foot. You're going to forever be scrambling. And I didn't want that. I don't like that. I want to make sure that I get the soldiers where we need to get. And now we actually can work much better moving forward. So it's like, if I lose this battle now in the beginning, I will spend the rest of my game on my back. I'll always be on my back foot for the rest of the game, which I don't like that. I don't want to be in danger. So that's why I really had to push hard to make sure that an American goes home. And I also preferably wanted a woman to go home because, now if there's too many women, automatically they come together and create an all-female alliance. Same as we'll do if there's too many men. If there's too many men, we'll come together and make an all-male alliance. Things like that. I was trying to keep the balance because the plan long term was to really keep this tribe together as far as possible. Obviously, to a certain degree, we eventually have to start turning on each other. But at least if we walk into merge with a majority world tribe, I already know that that's a bit of an advantage ready for us. So I was trying to keep the numbers on our side. Especially, I did want one of the small franchises to win this thing. So I was never going to take a shot at them unless I absolutely had to, but that would have been towards the end. At least we could have walked out of it all saying we represented our countries nicely. We stayed in the game. That's why I didn't want. We could afford to lose one or two Americans because there's three of them. It's fair enough. So that was a line in the sand. I did not. I had to defend that. I didn't want to let any one of us go home other than American. But I
Well,
wish suggested Tony to me. I could have gone with that.
what
Because
did
remember the first conversation I said Siri. And then the second one when she said, let's speak alone, I asked her again, please give me a name. If she had at least given me a Tony, I could have gone with that. Not that I would have liked to, because Tony was actually out there working with me, pushing hard in the challenges, working around, camp. It wouldn't have been nice to see him go, but that could have been a compromise I would have gone with. For me, Siri is the most logical right now.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's only early stages of the game, you need the strength. But when we get to merge, now I'm the target. So we have to take turns at this. I know in the beginning I should be safe, but when we hit merge, it's another story. Now I'm on the back foot. It's a disadvantage.
Yeah, so you would have been happy, yeah, to go for Tony. If Parvati comes back saying, no, not Suri, we'll do Tony. But once Parvati was stuck with Suri so much, it became Parvati, and now it was a whole thing that we all saw.
Correct. Yeah, it blew
Yeah.
up.
It definitely
And
blew up.
underestimated Pav. Really did. I really did. Had I known who I was up against better, then I would have treaded a lot more carefully. I mean, she was right when she says she felt disrespected because I didn't know her, you know? So it makes complete sense. I would have treaded a lot more carefully around Pav. I should have worked a bit more with Pav in the beginning. But again, we two very big characters, I think, two dominating. We're always going to butt heads. You can't have two bulls in the crowd. You can't.
Yeah. Well, I loved seeing the interaction. You did represent South Africa. Always great to get a South African on Australian Survivor. I say always like it's never happened. Great this one time to have gotten a South African player on Australian Survivor. You know how much that franchise means to me, how much I've always valued our relationship as well, how great it was to see you on TV, how great it is to see you now, even under these circumstances. And I do wish it was in better circumstances, Rob, but it is always so great to chat to you.
It's just always mine, Shannon. And yeah, we go back a long way, and I think this journey is only starting. Look, I prefer how I left rather than just, going under the radar and still getting taken out. That is not me. Then would be no point even coming back. I play hard, and that's what I'll do. So I left with a bang, and I'm proud of it. I'm happy. It's fine. They I think that you need to see more now. There's only more reason to come back now because now there's like unfinished business. But next time, let me come back with some more soldiers from South Africa. You guys should do a Tri Nations. We should do a Tri Nations because I think this season is definitely gonna be so successful that they're gonna have to do more of these ones. You know, it's doing very well. So it'll be imagine like a Tri Nations Survivor where you got you know how we're so competitive with the rugby. You get your Australians, New Zealand, so a tribe of Australians, a tribe of New Zealand, a tribe of South Africans, and then let's roll. Then let's roll.
Well, I'd love to see it. They have so many good casting opportunities in South Africa. You know that I would absolutely love to see that. But Rob, so great to chat to you and hope you have a great rest of your day.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.